Hello, my name is Jorge Ramiro Monroy. I am the CEO and founder of Reyna Silver. Reyna Silver is a Toronto-listed company. Our focus is on exploration. We're looking for high-grade silver, district-scale potential. And the value proposition of the company is we're in an environment where if you look at what's happening with the mid-tier producers in silver, over the last 2 years, they're cashed up again. And rather than buying silver deposits, they've gone ahead and bought gold deposits. You've seen Fortuna buying Rox Gold. You've seen First Majestic buying Jared Canyon, and so on and so forth. Really, the reason they're doing this is not because they don't like silver. It is because if you look at what a big mid-tier producer needs, they need 100 million ounces plus of high-grade silver. And the reality is that those do not exist. So we need to go there and find them. And that's what Reyna Silver is doing with 3 district-scale projects, all of them brownfield, around, they already have high-grade potential. They were exploring in the 1800s, but the technology was not available for the way that it's now. And we've partnered with Peter McGaw and Max Silver, one of the most successful silver exploration companies, to be able to take these 3 projects ahead.
Okay, Jorge, good to see you. Haven't seen you since October 2020. I'm not offended. I wish I'd seen more of you. So, look, it's been an interesting time for gold and silver.
Was it really been that long?
Oh yeah, long time.
I thought it was last year.
It was 70 cents ago, pal. That's how long ago it was. It's been a tough market, I think, recently for precious metals since maybe the end of last year. So I want to hear what you're getting up to. I guess let's start with the good news. You just raised $5 million. Why have you done that?
Yes. No, and we just announced that this morning. So for anybody who hasn't was not aware of this news, we actually had a tremendous amount of demand for the placement. And, the reason we did it, Matthew, is, it's not an ideal time to do it in terms of where the market is at. It's not ideal in terms of our share price. But at the same time, the nature of our story, the nature of our exploration, when we looked at it together with the board, we realized that really the money we put in the ground is what gives us the biggest chance of success in the company. In the big picture, we had just had $10 million worth of warrants. 10 million warrants come out of our capital structure. So this raise is going to be roughly substituting those. So it's not a very big change in our capital structure. And really, what it allows us to do is to just cancel out the noise of what's happening in the market. I think the fundamental belief that we have is silver is undervalued. The fundamental belief we have is we're following the right business approach in terms of looking for a big high-grade silver deposit. And the results that we have for Guigui and Batopilas in our drilling last year validate the geological thesis. And I think we're very, really zeroing in into what we think is a potential breakout that we can do through drilling.
Okay, well let's get on to Guigui and Batopilas in a second, but let's stick with the money for now. So $5 million new dollars now. Where's that come from? Is it existing shareholders?
Yeah. So that's another great. Another thing that we're very excited about, Matthew, is and maybe just for context. So with this 5, now we have 10 million in the bank. About half of the money came from existing shareholders. These are primarily institutions who have been actually in every single round. And I think that speaks tremendously to how serious our company has been taken by the investor community. We really have very high quality investors who recognize that what we're doing and validate through participating in this raise that we're on the right track. And then we were able to welcome 3 or 4 new institutions who were not part of our share register before.
Okay, so
the reality is that.
But tell me this, because I think it's really important.
Yeah.
Like you, like a lot of people, have been absolutely battered by the market. Okay.
Yes.
So I think since we spoke whenever October 2020, sort of steady sideways movement by you, but like of recent times, like everyone else, it's been hit hard. When you go and raise money at these levels, you're saying, well, look, it's better to raise capital at these lower levels because it allows to get on with the job of finding these large projects which majors may be looking for. So I get it and I buy that. But what you also need is liquidity and in terms of and the volume of trading of the stock from retail. So going and getting more institutional onto the register, is that wise?
Yeah, look, that's a very good point, Matthew. We did actually allocate, I would say, about 30% of the raise to retail investors. I am a very big believer, and there's a lot of companies that, and I think there's a little bit of ego behind this, that think, okay, we need to appeal only to institutional investors. The reason you will go to the public markets is to, so that you can, have an attractive company for the public. In order to attract institutional investors, you need liquidity. And if you look at our track record in terms of liquidity, we've maintained, even in tough markets, a very strong liquidity throughout our history. Of course, it ebbs and flows with the market, but it's generally speaking being strong, and one of the reasons why we have been able to attract a strong institutional investor base. And we do make a tremendous effort trying to. I do consider that a very important job of a public company. I personally spoke to my family and brought the family over to the U.S. for a period of time, and I have spent a lot of time traveling in person to meet our shareholders, to meet new shareholders. It really was a tremendous experience for me. We were talking about the benefits of like doing Zoom versus doing these kind of presentation. At the end of the day, you need to can't run a company sitting on your desk. You really have to go there. You have to meet investors. You have to go to the projects. You have to make sure that that every single piece of the puzzle works well. As you said, we're swimming against the current with the markets, but I think the fundamentally, I think silver has really good fundamentals going forward. So I think this is the time to hunker down. One thing that I am going to do is, in the kind of market we were before, we were, there's obviously a lot of focus on the investor relations part of things. We were also a new company when you and I spoke for the first time. I think we had just been public for a couple of months, so we're really. It actually takes a tremendous amount of effort to get the company just on people's radar. So I think we've done that. We've done a good job with that, and now it's a big focus on making sure that. Our money is going to be spent in the most efficient way between the three projects. So we started that process about a month ago, and of really reviewing each of our targets in each of the three projects, and it's the reality is that the work that we've done on the ground over the last year has put us in an incredible situation, and we're going to get into the details of each project, but. The last 2 months, when we finished stage 1 and 2 at Guigui and Batopilas, what we did was sort of a recap of where we're at. We hired new teams to generate more and more targets. We also hired structural geologists on both projects, did additional geophysics, because one of the things that we're looking for is, in addition to the drilling that we're doing, trying not to just narrow down that, but really thinking ahead to a point where we have what I would call a home run discovery that would allow us to then go and attack this in a much more aggressive way, hopefully in a much more beneficial silver market than we're now.
Okay, before we, I do want to get into each project, I promise you, because I think it's interesting what you're trying to do. Okay, I want to come back to something you talked about in terms of IR. Of course, I'd be interested in that. And here's some of the feedback in the market about Mexican silver companies at the moment. You're up in Chihuahua, right by the U.S. border. You're also up in Nevada as well. So that's where you are. The rhetoric coming out of and the conversations and narrative coming out of South America, and then obviously as well up in Mexico, especially with nationalization kind of conversation and politics down there, the uncertainty of the politics, it's making investors really nervous about where they deploy capital. This is over and above the current market machinations of what's happening with the economy. This is on the basis of, can I invest in certain countries? And Mexico, unfortunately, has fallen into that category. Like, nationalization talk is not good. What's happening with the politics? We've got some polls happening at the moment about new candidates. It could be good. Is it good? What do we need to know?
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing this topic. And, this is actually a great opportunity for me to maybe express some of my views. And I always offer these for any investor or any other company who would like to reach out to me directly and discuss this in more depth, because it's obviously a very nuanced issue that's, probably not enough to cover in this forum. But really what's happening, Matthew, let's start with your first element of your question. You asked me about South America. In South America, really, a lot of what's happening is a little bit alarming in Peru, in Chile, and in obviously Colombia last week. We'll have to unpack what that means in Colombia, but Chile and Peru has certainly taken a very radical approach. I don't follow them well enough to give you an opinion, so I'm going to leave that aside. At the same time, Bolivia and Argentina are now, Argentina is looking like the Luxembourg of South America. Still with a lot of problems with their macro and their currency and their price stability, but definitely, you are seeing companies go there, do exploration, succeed, especially in the lithium space. Not the easiest place to operate, but over the last 10 years, with a lot of ups and downs and crises, people have been able to make it work. Mexico is an entirely different class. It should not be grouped with South America in the same way. It's very important to understand that. Mexico is part of North America. It's ruled investment-wise under the NAFTA agreement, which is actually a very strong agreement. There's a lot of stake for Mexico, the U.S. and Canada. The way I don't know if you follow this, but about 2 years ago, there was a renegotiation of the treaty that's actually very beneficial to Mexico. It's one of those weird things where, both Trump at the time and López Obrador are very similar type of populists, and their agendas met, to the sort of, they had a sink in, the Mexican president wanted wages to go up in manufacturing. Trump wanted Mexican wages to go up to make manufacturing less competitive versus, like, say, especially in the car industry. So there's a lot of stability protections for North American companies. Of course, Canadian companies have a big say in investments. Mining, this is all the big difference. In South America, mining, in the case of Chile, Peru, is the biggest chunk of the economy. In Mexico, mining is not a significant industry. It's a very diversified economy. And then getting into the details, the one news that caused a lot of concern was a news related to lithium, and Mexico saying that they would create a national company to. Now, let's just be very clear. There's no lithium in Mexico, no lithium production. There's one project that's a brine project called Bacanora. It's listed in London, and it's very questionable as to whether it's a commercial project. It's I don't want to disparage it in any way, because I'm not an expert in the subject, but being what it may, it really was just a way to. There's a broader oil and gas and electricity reform, and they sort of put in lithium as a source of energy. Now, looking at the reality on the ground, the president, when he came up, and it's really funny, I always like telling people this story. He came to power on July 1st of 2018, which is the same deal that I signed the deal with Max Silver. And it was the same kind of thing. We didn't know if he was going to win or not. And it was, I think I signed the deal with Max Silver the Friday before he got elected. And I was like, okay, great. This guy is going to be another Hugo Chavez. And the reality is that, the previous government had demonized him for the past 10 years. We had never seen him speak on TV because they really suppressed him. Is he the greatest president? No. But he, by and large, hasn't been terrible. He has not changed the mining law in any way. The only thing that has been difficult for us operating there is he has not granted new concessions. But, other than that, especially for exploration companies, we have actually been able to operate really well. Just to give you an example, Matthew, our drill permits are coming within a month and a half. You can still permit a mine into production in less than 2 years. I mean, you find me a place in Ontario, Quebec, Nevada, where you can do that. Yes, we have to worry about the security issue. There's cartels, but again, there's 250 TSX companies listed in Toronto that have assets in Mexico, and and I think more than 60 of them are in production. In 1996, when NAFTA was signed, there was 0 Canadian companies there. By 2007, almost 250 billion in market cap. Companies like Gold Corp, Yamana Gold, Agnico Eagle, Pan American Silver. It really, you go and find me another jurisdiction where that has happened. And again, I go back to NAFTA and how important that has been to be able to facilitate and how easy is the flow of operating a company in Mexico is, and I mean, I sit in the board of other companies in other jurisdictions in Canada and some opportunities in Argentina. It's incredibly, there's a lot of benefits of operating there. Now, you still have to be careful and still have to, watch how things move along. There's a lot of forces at play, but back to your original question, there is a poll this week within the ruling party, Morena. There's 3 front runners, 2 of them who are the polling the highest in terms of popularity. One of them in particular is very moderate, definitely to the right of the current president. The other one probably similar to the current president, but not in any way radical. She's the current mayor of Mexico City. So I think so far, 2 years away from Mexican election, we don't expect any dramatic changes. Now he is sort of now coming to the lame duck bit of his presidency. We just finished the midterm elections and he lost. So he lost the majority in Congress. He won some governorships, but some he lost. His popularity is down. So I think we're in a situation where Mexico should be okay for the next 2 years. The next election will be the next sort of thing that we have to watch for. But I don't know if I'm sorry, I went a little bit too long.
No, that's fine. I don't mind that. I actually quite like this because it lends comfort to people looking in who may have dismissed Mexico out of hand, worried about nationalization, right? As they have done with quite a few countries in South America, right? So I think it's a good conversation to understand the nuances of it. So there's a kind of, obviously US has midterms coming in November. Mexico's not doing that, but they are doing this polling about which candidate replaces the current incumbent. And in 2 years' time, he leaves. Is that right? Is that what you said?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. July 2024.
Okay. So he's, as you say, in the lame duck phase where, he's not going to be able to affect much change whether he wants to or not. And these are, you're saying that of these 3 candidates, all are more moderate than he is, and he hasn't been bad. Okay. Correct. Interesting.
Yeah. He's a strange candidate because he came out as a leftist, but, he's actually in many in many ways very conservative fiscally. For instance, he has been really against printing money, increasing debt. He's been quite responsible on that front. Yes, he came claiming that he was changed corruption. Corruption's still there in some, maybe at very high levels. Like governors are not taking hundreds of millions out of the treasury. So maybe he has tempered corruption a little bit. He hasn't been a good president. I think but he hasn't been as bad as most of us thought.
Okay.
Which, in this world, you have to count your.
Okay, he's the least worst candidate. Good. Well, let's pick up on something you said there, because again, I ask this question occasionally when people kind of make a statement which is meant to be seen as a positive, but which is 250 TSX-V companies with assets in Canada, in Mexico. Or was that right? Okay, that's a lot. Yeah. That's a lot. I know for some of them, it's
keep in mind, Matthew.
Yeah.
Some of them have multiple assets. So I think the total number of assets being actively explored is close to 1,000.
Right. Okay. It gets even more interesting. So here's my question to you, which is within whatever that makeup and breakdown looks like, that's a lot. These are big numbers, right?
Yes.
Of companies roughly saying the same thing, and it's white noise, right? So it gets hard to kind of compete in that environment. So what I'd like you to kind of point me towards is, right, I get that you're kind of high grade focus, and I get that you're after district wide, and you've told me why, because the kind of big silver players can't find big projects. They're off investing in gold instead, right? So if that's the name of the game for you, why are you going to be any better than any of these other Mexican focused silver explorers?
No, absolutely. And there's two things that I'll point out, Matthew. Number one is we started Reyna Silver at a time where not because silver was a fad. It was 2018. It was a tough time to do it. I started the company 1 year before in 2017. And what I did was try to really study what gives us the best chance of making a discovery. And so I went to Vancouver for about 3-4 months and spoke to all the different CEOs of mid-tier producers, some of the companies that had, see what assets were available. And then during that time, I spoke to Peter McGaw, who is the co-founder of Max Silver. And his approach made the most sense to me. I had the opportunity to take these assets from MAG, but not just the assets. Peter McGaw stayed with us as the chief technical advisor. And I had the opportunity of hiring the team that had been exploring these projects, as well as participating in the Max Silver original discovery. So really, our company is a real company, is a real team. There's a lot of value in these teams. It's a team that, just to give you an example, the gentleman who's the project manager at Guigui is René Ramirez, and he did the mapping and designed the drill pads for the original Juanicipio discovery for Max Silver. Manuel Ramirez, who is the exploration manager at Batopilas, he is the one who did all the geological work for the discovery of Cinco de Mayo, which is a huge CRD in Chihuahua, also owned by Max Silver. These people have been working together with Peter as a team for, in many cases, their whole career, and they're all in their 50s, 60s. So I think there's a lot of value to that. They also have a tremendous business acumen in terms of handling all the community relations. So that I think the statistics, Matthew, is a very small number of geologists ever make a discovery. But then once they make a discovery, the people who made one discovery, the percentage chance that they do multiple discoveries is very high. And that's the case with our team. Okay, that's the team. Okay, that for me, that's benefit number one. You've got a team who've worked in the region, made some discoveries in the past for Max Silver. That's super. What else have you got going for you? Because again, the number of people that come on the show and claim that discoveries and successes, success has many fathers, right? Yeah. So what else can you give me? Absolutely. And the other thing that I'll tell you, Matthew, is again, because we started the company, before things got before the market became active again, we had the opportunity, of course, to have Guigui and Batopilas, but we had also put in a number of other projects. And within that portfolio of projects, Medicine Springs has emerged and that's in Nevada, has emerged as a very serious opportunity. I'll speak about it a little bit later, but we do have a very unique situation where I think each one of our 3 main projects could be its own company. There are strong enough projects, and we have them all in one company. A lot of shareholders have asked me a lot of questions about this. Why not just focus on one project instead of 3? And again, as one of the largest shareholders in the company, and the vast majority of my net worth is tied to the success of this company. I just wanted to have a balanced portfolio in terms of risk, because we're doing brownfield exploration. We're not a company that's looking to expand a resource that's already there. Really going off of historic mining, trying to really make a discovery of something bigger. And for me, it seems like having 3 projects, not only does it increase your chance of success, but it also gives you a downside protection. And I think that's very important, the way that we have designed the company. Again, we're doing this, trying to do it, having the utmost respect for the people who have, given us the trust and giving us the capital to invest, and trying to manage this as best as we can. From taking account geology, taking account the capital markets, the investor relations, taking account how we communicate the story. And, it's like we were discussing at the beginning, it takes a tremendous effort to make all the pieces of the puzzle work.
Yeah, well, it does.
It's approach.
Yeah, but I'm saying, all right, so you having a significant part of your wealth in it is good. It indicates that you're a true believer and you've put your own capital at risk, right? So that's all good. You wanting it to succeed doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't make it happen. So I'm intrigued about with a company which is $10 million is good because you got options.
Yeah.
And I'm more interested in what you're going to do in terms of allocation of capital, best use of capital, in the sense that the markets give you a chance to say, hey, we would be forgiven if we just slightly tweaked our business plan here. So the long-term business plan I get, but the short-term strategy may need to be adjusted in current conditions because capital constraints may be a problem further down the line for everyone. The market is a little bit off. Yes. We don't know when it's coming back. So have you adjusted your thinking? What are you focused on first? And where are you allocating this capital to? 3 projects is a lot for a company at 35, 40 million market cap, right? So what do you do?
Yes, no, absolutely. And, I think that's going to be a very dynamic process, especially during the summer, of really trying to monitor the market. Nobody knows what's going on. We do worry about, and that was one of the impetus for doing the capital raise now, because we didn't want to take the chances that, markets could become more difficult. Again, as I said at the beginning, we fundamentally have a belief in silver that's, I think grounded in strong fundamentals, but the capital markets make it choppy. And as you say, we're going to have to be flexible. I'll tell you that the advantage we have is we own, the 2 main projects 100%. And then Medicine Springs, after we do this drill campaign, we'll meet the majority of our requirements to own, I think, up to 75 or 80%. That's an advantage that we have. But at the same time, even in bear markets, if you look at the performance of silver stocks, it again, because silver is so rare, and because the need for a silver project is so rare, on and convincing discovery, your market cap will appreciate significantly. So having understood that, our current thinking today, after discussing with the board and with the management, is we're going to go full force. We're not going to, at least in the short term, we're not going to focus too much on the ups and downs of silver price and silver sentiment, because we do believe that in each of our projects, if we can, with the money that we have, the purpose of the drilling is to really convincingly establish them as having the potential for being a big silver deposit. When we talk about a big silver deposit, at least 100 million ounces of silver. That's why the way that we've designed the drilling at Batopilas and Guigui, rather than honing in a particular zone, we've stepped out 500 meters, a kilometer, 2 kilometers. That was the purpose of stage 1 of drilling. And I do think that the market still rewards you, even in tough markets, for that kind of discovery, especially in silver. Might be different in other commodities, but again, silver has the situation, and you have to remember, silver companies, especially in the mid-tier space and the majors, finally are cashed up. They do have capital. The share price of those companies has a premium as well. Now, the other thing is we have seen a lot of interest from non-silver companies like zinc, copper, and even some gold companies looking for silver projects. That's been actually quite interesting in terms of people who have reached out to us to do a site visit. I've been like, there's no gold in our project. I was like, yeah, but we still want to go see it. So the market is changing a lot, but I think in the short term we're going to stick to that strategy. If there's some sort of black swan event and things change dramatically, we'll definitely adjust. And in that case, do keep in mind, we do have the advantage of essentially owning our projects between 100% and 80%. So, it's not like if we need to readjust our budgets, we don't lose any of our projects.
It's essentially, you kind of say, you sound like you're doing things the right way geologically, right? Your geo team is giving you good, solid advice on how to find this stuff. Because but you said, the market will reward you if you do things properly. It doesn't always reward you if you do things properly. You put out a fantastic press release back in the middle of April, 3.65 meters grading 8.8 grams per ton. I mean, good stuff, it's all, nice stuff. And within a week, you're from 66 sands down to under 50. Do you know what I mean? So so my question to you is, again, in terms of being agile and thinking on your feet and adjusting and all of that kind of stuff, sometimes you got to kind of put out good market stuff and the market doesn't care. And sometimes you've got good stuff and the market does react. So in a sense, do you have an idea of do you stick to doing good, solid geology and hope for some long-term return on that investment? Or are you conscious that perhaps you need to go and hunt out some super high-grade stuff, if you can, and delight the market? But how do you come at that? It's a tough one.
Yeah, no, it's something that we think about every single day. My feeling is that, and again, I go back to thinking, if I was going to give a company my money, I don't want them to necessarily sit there and say, okay, let's wait for a better market. I just don't think, and I also don't think that's what the investors want. I think we need to be aggressive. Again, if it all of a sudden we have an extreme situation, we'll reevaluate. But I really I'm a believer on you stick to your plan. We've put the budget that our technical team requested. We have a board that has, our chairman is a mining engineer. He's, business oriented, and we have a good balance to try to see what the most efficient way to use the money is. And to be honest, our geological team is very commercially minded. They understand capital markets, having been with, lived through the whole Mag Silver experience over the last 20 years. That project is now about to go into production. So, we do have a good understanding of what it takes to take a project from zero, to a couple billion market cap. So, it's a very good point that you make, Matthew. And I'll tell you, for me as an entrepreneur, when I started in the sector and I go to Vancouver and, starting investing in companies, and, no disrespect to anyone, but, you're like, with the CEO is going golfing at 2 and, maybe leave to Whistler on Thursday. That's not why I started the company. We want to make it an exciting discovery. We want something that could be transcendental. and you don't do that by holding back. At the same time, if it comes to it, we are monitoring it. It is a kind of a crazy market. I was spent a good chunk of 2 days ago watching the I don't know if you caught it, the Fed testimony in Congress.
Yes,
and
fantastic.
Some fascinating clues there as to what may be coming in the months ahead.
Yeah, so I thought you were going to go for the Johnny Depp trial. No, okay. Well, the Fed's also quite interesting.
That was good too. That was very entertaining.
Hey, well, okay, but back to you though. Okay, so look, I'm hearing everything you're saying. You're trying to do things the right way, and what's the reality in terms of and in a hardworking CEO, you're not off playing golf or skiing, for a long weekend. I know that to be true. I know you. But the Peter McGool's of this world and the Rene Ramirez and Manuel Riaz, what are they? They can't be full time. So how much time are they actually allocating it? Because those are the smart guys, right?
No, they're full time.
Okay.
So Rene Ramirez is full time with us. Manuel Ruiz, and I apologize, I call him Manuel Ramirez. It's Manuel Ruiz.
Yeah.
They're full time with us.
Right. Okay.
And they're very committed. They're very committed. And then Peter, his time commitment with us is 15% of his time. What it looks like in real terms, Matthew, is he has a Zoom call with each of the teams, for an hour or two every day, and he's very engaged. If you've he's been to the site multiple times. Guigui is really his baby. When you've had the level of success that Peter has had, and he's really looking to make something transcendental. We had a very interesting addition to the team 6 months ago, who's Lauren McGaw, who's Peter's daughter, and she's been phenomenal. She's finishing her geological studies, but she's really helping us more on the marketing side, investor relations, especially trying to help me communicate and articulate the story, where we go next. But that has been a very good addition because, she has been studying with her dad basically since she was a child. And it's actually fascinating. She had done work for us before, more as a geologist. She helped us do the initial evaluation of Medicine Springs. But now, getting to know that facet of hers more in terms of, she's a brilliant communicator, especially, how to communicate our story. And as you were asking before, how do we stand from other, from other companies? And to be honest, it's even helped me a lot understand geologically more and more. She's given us a few short courses on the kind of geology that we have, and for management, those of us who are not geologists, to try to make better decisions on how to allocate the capital and what kind of risk is involved with each drill hole.
Okay. Well, I know we're kind of running out of time a little bit here. So just final, if you could sort of punctuate this end of this call with, you've got $10 million. How many meters? Where is it going? What's it going to cost you? What's the time frame? Yeah,
we have a budget for drilling, like say over the next call it 12 months. That's it's about 8 million Canadian. And that would allow us to do stage 3 of drilling at Guigui. That's going to be the biggest spend, and that's going to be about 8,000 meters.
Okay.
We're going to do. We're finishing stage 1 of drilling at Batopilas. We still have about 3,000 meters left there, and then we'll start stage 2 right after. And then Medicine Springs, we're going to drill it for the first time. We're in the advanced process of getting our permits for the drilling. My team had a touch base with them last Friday. They told me they're expecting it shortly. And the plan is to start drilling Medicine Springs. We'll drill it for the first time this fall. So we think we'll have enough time to do at least 5,000 meters, but we have a budget for 7,000 meters. So it's very exciting. We'll be drilling all 3 projects in tandem, and then by the end of it, we still have about $1.5 million cushion that we've allocated, sort of back to your question about, managing budgets in these uncertain times. So we worked very hard to put the budget that the geological team had asked us for, and still have a cushion there for, so that we don't have to, get too low in cash before we see what the next step for the company is.
Right.
What I love to see is at some point we'll have a drill hole that's, convincing and an area emerging that we could, at a much higher market cap, do a raise similar to other companies that have made significant discoveries over the last few months and years, where we could really tackle it with 3-4 drill rigs and then start a much more aggressive drill campaign. At some point, we will. One of the projects will become the main focus of the company. That's most likely to be Guigui. And then, with some luck, all three of them could be, moving at the same time. At that point, we'll see if it's feasible to move them ahead with the same team. But and this question came and comes over a number of times, and I think at some point we will have to focus on 1 or 2 projects. But the reason why we're doing the 3 at this time is because the core expertise of the team that we have is exactly this stage of development, taking the project from a brownfield and establishing it into, a district scale project. And then the value accretion on a project like that is just massive. And that really is the core expertise of our company. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to address that, because I think that's one of the questions that comes up a lot. And, the other thing is, for those of you who follow the Lassonde curve, I think our company sits very comfortably and very nicely at the bottom, or maybe a little bit above the bottom of that curve in each one of the projects. So really the potential for the upside is quite significant on a discovery.
For you and anyone else, discoveries are rare things. Actually, I don't think people appreciate that. Look, Jorge, thanks for your time today. Thanks for kind of helping us understand, how you've moved on since we last spoke. And especially thank you for your review of the Mexican political scene at the moment. Perhaps help shape how people think about investing in Mexico going forward. But look, stay in touch with us, especially with some of these drill results coming out soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we look forward to speaking to you soon.
Thank you, Matthew. And one thing that I wanted to also offer to your listeners is, our project Batopilas is historically the highest grade silver mine in Mexico. It's a very unique project, and there's a great book written about it called The Silver Magnet. It's a history of how an American entrepreneur moves to Mexico in the late 1800s and basically finds what became the first modern producing mine in Mexico. It gives you a sense of the magnitude of the project, but also what it takes to put one of these things into, like, do the discovery and then put it in production. And if any of your listeners would like a copy, please send me an email. My email is jorge@reynasilver.com or info@reynasilver.com. Especially if you're in North America, send me an email. It's easy for us to send it. But also, if you're in England, we'll try our best to get it to you. If not the hard copy, maybe we'll find a way to send you maybe a digital copy. But wanted to make that offer in case anybody is interested.
Good man. I like it. I do that on a regular basis as well. I was just thinking about I think I'm slightly behind on one of my offers. Jorge, good to speak to you. We'll speak to you soon. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And great to see you.